you got a lot of screen reads coming. This is going to be one of the first ones. I think this is going to be a great screen reads, like, masterclass. Welcome back to Balanced Basketball Academy, and today we are getting into a game that I've had on my list for a while. It is the game that I think represents Russell Westbrook at his peak the best. A 50-point triple-double, breaking the single-season triple-double record, and also a game winner and part of Russell Westbrook's 2016-2017 MVP season. It is kind of the best look at what Russell was able to accomplish in this season with the team that he had behind him, and just the incredible play that we were watching at that time period from a player that is going to be a Hall of Famer. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I think most people who have watched my channel for any amount of time know I'm a Russell Westbrook fan. I really like the guy. I want to see him on another team this season, but I also know that there's a high chance that his career might be done, and the best of Russell Westbrook is going to be left in the past for us to dig up and learn about and watch and enjoy. And I wanted to bring some of that to you guys today with this film breakdowns, where we're going to get into a lot of his assists, a lot of his rebounds, and plenty of his points that he scored in this game to end up sealing it against the Denver Nuggets. Without further ado, let's get into it. The thing that people forget about Russell Westbrook was his ability to be able to hit the pull-up so consistently. When he is at his most confident, when he is at his most relaxed, his pull-up game was actually quite good, and his mid-range game was something that people needed to look out for, especially on screen coverage, which we'll see more of later. For this particular shot, I'm going to highlight this a bunch of times, but I'll highlight it briefly here. Russell Westbrook gets the rebound right off the bat. The advantage of having a point guard that gets the rebound and is able to move you right into your offense or right into transition is something that not any player that I have seen in my lifetime has quite accomplished to the level that Russell Westbrook has. I think LeBron also comes to mind, but I don't really consider LeBron a point guard, even though he does a lot of ball handling. He's a very ball-dominant player. Russell Westbrook's ability to get the rebound and drive and scan the floor. You could see that he's looking at the floor, looking for players to find. And then he's got, I believe that's Wilson Chandler on him. And just hitting that pull-up in confidence, in stride, getting some points on the board. Is it a good shot? Not necessarily. It's a shot that he, at that time, was hitting very consistently, and he will hit consistently in this game. He shot a pretty good percentage for this game. But bear in mind that starting off a play like that is really rough. Not recommended, but for him, that's not necessarily the worst shot he could take. The Oklahoma City Thunder, in this time period, were being coached by Billy Donovan. A lot of the plays you're going to see run for Russell Westbrook and for the other players on the Thunder are going to involve a mini three-man game. And when I say three-man game, I mean there's going to be a pick and roll, and that person hitting the screen is going to roll. Russell is going to drive, and then there's going to be some third player that is in the proximity that is going to pop to the three-point line, or in this case, to the elbow, or excuse me, right to the top of the key. So to take a look at this real quick, Russ gets the ball, he takes the screen, and Gallinari goes into it. Russ is into a mini 2-on-1 situation, and the Nuggets recognize this. They know that Gallinari is behind on the play. Jokic, this is a baby Jokic right here, is having to guard two people, which is Russ and Adams, which Adams is a consistent lob threat, especially at this time period with Russ. Basically, they can just play two-man game all the live long day and put Jokic in a blender. So, this third defender decides to help in, recognizing that there is, again, a little bit of screen action going on. There's a player that's behind the play. I'm going to pull in. Taj Gibson, right here, decides to just sit in the open space as Adams is posting up against Taj's defender. Gallinari's still behind on the play, and Jokic is now playing 1v1 defense with Russ. That leaves Gibson wide open. The ball gets passed to Taj Gibson. And Gibson misses it, but it's a good open shot and a great play for the Thunder. This is a great read from Oladipo, and Russ is able to find him on the backdoor, which is great. So just to pause it and take a look at it real quick, Oladipo realizes that there's a screen coming, and his player, which I believe is Jamal Murray, again, we got some baby versions of the Nuggets in this particular version of our breakdown today. Oladipo realizes that Murray is guarding him topside and is not keeping his body between Oladipo and the basket. So, and he's not able to see ball either. It looks like Russ can see that opening right out the get. And obviously, this is 720p. It's kind of hard to tell, like, whose eyes are where. But you can almost see it right here. Look at Russ and look at Oladipo. They're going to make some eye contact there, right there, and Russ is right into the pass without a thought. There's a little push-off from Oladipo just to get space, mostly illegal, and he gets that nice, alley-oop right there. Oladipo's very athletic, was able to get that shot off really easy. I think that that's one of those where if you played with somebody long enough, you can just kind of know what they're going to do before they do it. Russ was able to find that and got that pass off lightning quick. Really excellent play. Gary Harris guarding Russell Westbrook. Gary Harris is going to be struggling all night against Russ, and you're going to see why. So Harris is discouraging Russ from using the screen from Gibson coming up here, right at the three-point line. And he's going to cheat it a little bit. The issue is not with him taking that stance and preventing Russ from getting to the screen or even using the screen. Not necessarily an issue. The issue is you got to commit to giving him a wide open right-handed lane, which Harris does not do. So Russ just push crosses and drives by. Harris is completely flat-footed. Russ barely makes a move and just blows by the guy. Like, he didn't even try defensively. And against one of the best slashers of all time, sure, but just insane to think that, like, okay, you're just gonna, like, lollygag on defense. Like, Russ can attack at any time, and that was one of the big things about him in his MVP campaign, is that he can just zip to the basket at any point in time, and you don't know when that's going to happen, so you're always kind of on edge, and you're always trying to give him some cushion in order to keep him from blowing by you, because he has such athleticism and such speed that it makes him very, very dangerous. And yeah, Harris doesn't do anything. The help defender has to come in. Help defender just reaches. We'll go backwards. So Harris plays terrible defense. Help defender just reaches and tries to strip from Gibson's side. Jokic steps up. Jokic is the only one who actually plays defense on him and is able to get a deflection. That's about the extent of the play, but it's one of those where it's like, if the defense is asleep, it doesn't matter if they're in good position. Go right by them. You're going to notice that players that are right-handed are going to have an easier time driving to their left and fading left than they will doing that on their right-hand side. It's mostly just because the way you shoot, it's easier to get to your elbow to the rim. If you're already going leftwards, it's just easier. So this is a good shot for him. He gets a nice one-on-one, gets in his mid-range game. Great stuff. Harris is, frankly, just not playing good enough defense. He's kind of walking on tiptoes all the time, trying to make sure he doesn't let Russ go by him or foul him. But Russ just, gets that soft bounce, is able to fade left. It's a good shot that works in a right-handed player's favor. I feel like this video is going to be a lot of screen reads, because based on my notes and so on, we got a lot of screen reads coming. This is going to be one of the first ones. I think this is going to be a great screen reads, like, masterclass. Let's take a look at this. So Adams comes up for the screen, sets that screen. Jokic decides that he wants to hedge the screen, and they want to hedge into a double. So a hedge means that basically you're going to attack that ball handler if you're the help defender or the ball screener's defender, and you're going to try and get that player to dribble backwards. They're not going to be, don't let them turn the corner, but the first thing you're trying to get them to do is to retreat, so you can catch them into a corner, or you can get them frazzled, or you can kind of ruin the rhythm of the play. So, Jokic hedges. Russ realizes this automatically, and sees that now he's got 2 on him, and that the roll man is wide open. So he jumps up and gets that pass up as fast as he can. If Russ took another dribble out of this screen right here, so if he took an additional dribble after this point, it takes 1 dribble to get through the screen. If he took another dribble, Adams would be gone. That opportunity would be gone. He'd get smothered. He'd end up on the sideline with 2 people on him. He makes that decision fast. He makes that nice high pass to Adams, who's able to catch it. Help side comes over, but Adams has already got great position, makes that hook shot. That's really great screen reads for Russ. As soon as he realizes the double, he's like, somebody's open. I'm going to find him. That man happened to be Adams, who was right there. And boom, gets the open man a bucket. Another example of how Russ is such a nightmare for players in a transition defense, because he can just pick up a rebound and just get right into fast break right away. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, and he is so fast. He just turns this into a transition opportunity. Everybody's running now. And so now what he's got is he's got 2 people down low. He recognizes that Nikola Jokic is going to be his primary defender right here. And so what Russ decides to do is he's like, okay, I could drive into the body of Jokic, or because he's backing off and he's not respecting my mid-range, which I've shown that I can make today, I'm going to just hit that easy shot. And he gets the easier shot. There's nothing necessarily wrong with shooting a mid-range in a fast break scenario, but you low-key do have to make it, though. Like, you have to make it, because, yeah, you're going to get coaches yelling at you in that situation. There's another world in which driving into the body of Jokic would be a better idea, but Russ felt comfortable with that shot, and we've seen him hit it earlier in the game. So we get this Enes Kanter screen. Harris hops that screen, preventing Russ from getting there immediately, and he makes a mistake. He reaches. We'll go in slow motion. Harris reaches. Instead of staying in front of his man and cutting off the screen, he reaches. He doesn't get anywhere close. Russ decides, well, this is a great opportunity to reject the screen and drive. Kanter sets a moving screen and clips Harris, leaving Miles Plumlee, or is it Mason Plumlee? I think it's Mason Plumlee. Mason Plumlee down low to help, because that's Kanter's previous defender. Russ tries to pass the ball off since Plumlee has committed to Russ, to Kanter. Kanter fumbles it, and it basically ends up in the equivalent of a turnover. It's just a missed shot and goes the other way. I want to see if this pass is actually bad. Is this a bad pass? Yeah, it's a bit of a bad pass. It goes off of Kanter's shins, and he struggles to recover the ball. So, not the best pass ever, but it is technically the right read as you hit the roll man because you have 2 on you. Right read, wasn't able to complete it with the pass. It is a bit of a tough one to make. Another missed shot, but that's okay. This is another screen reject read right here. Kanter is also coming up for this one. Harris does the same thing again. He reaches. Look at this man. He's shameless. He just wants to reach. He doesn't actually want to play defense. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But it is the reason why Russ gets an open shot. So, Russ drives right by because Harris is doing nothing but reach. He's not actually attempting to stay in front of Russ, which is easier said than done. Trust me. Like, Russ is a very fast player. It'd be difficult to do that. Leaving Plumlee as your help side guy. He's in drop coverage. Russ has all the space and time in the world that he wants to be able to shoot this pull-up. This is a good shot for him. This is a good shot out of drop coverage. He's made this before. He just misses this one short. This is not half bad right here, but the reaching is, if you're a defender and you're reaching and people are driving by you, you're taking yourself out of the play and you're giving the offense an advantage. Russ gets that rebound. He's right into the fast break. Right into it. drives by. He noticed that he has Adams right here, but he's not quite open yet. So he's driving by. His Gallinari is not stopping him. Gallinari's already behind him. Plumlee is reaching. We're back to it. And he is able to get that shot off. You'll notice that Plumlee is out of the play. Gallinari is chasing Russ. And Jokic is kind of deciding between whether or not he's going to box out or not. So even though there are 3 Nuggets defenders down here, these 2 OKC players are able to get that tip in because Russ is able to draw the attention away from everybody else. You can see that the rebound battle is a 2-on-1 because these 2 guys took themselves out of the rebound equation and they didn't, keep fighting after the shot was taken. They just kind of gave up. So now it's advantage OKC, they get the tip in, and that's it. Russ finally takes the screen from Enes Kanter. Kanter sets that screen. Russ goes into it. I think that's Emmanuel Mudiay, if y'all remember who that is, who's guarding Russ right now, part of the second unit of the Denver Nuggets. And now Russ has some major drop coverage because basically what we have several players that are sitting in the paint waiting for Russ. But Russ decides, hey, if you're going to give me that much space in drop, I'm going to hit that pull-up. He finally does. And we get a good example of him finally hitting the shot and drop coverage. So, we're back into pick and roll situation, which I think is, again, a great thing to put Russ through, pick and rolls. He rejects the screen from Kanter because Mudiay is committing so hard into the screen, he realizes he has an advantage on this right side. He goes right, Mudiay is out of the play temporarily. We have a 2-on-1 situation right here. It is a brief 2-on-1, but it is still there. Plumlee has to step up and pick who he wants to guard because his man is Kanter. But Russ has the one with the ball, so obviously Russ is more of a danger to score the basketball. No duh. Russ is driving. Plumlee is committed to him. Kanter is kind of taking up space right here. And that's okay, because Chandler is like, well, now this roll man is a threat. That leaves Sabonis wide open, that third man of the screen and roll situation, where the screen and roll, because of the nature of the screen, where it takes a player out of the play for a couple of minutes, or not minutes, a couple of seconds, it means that that help side is going to have to work extra hard to make sure that that screen and roll doesn't end up in a bucket. But it turns into an open man. And a late closeout, which normally means in the NBA a 3-point make. In this case, it doesn't. Still doesn't mean that the play wasn't solid, though. So Russ gets that inbounds quickly and turns it into a mini transition. Even though it's not a transition bucket, he turns it into that. He realizes that, people are asleep, not everybody's set, not everybody's there, and he can just go one-on-one with Harris. And what he does is he just bodies Harris. He's bigger than Harris, stronger than Harris, gets him into the middle, gets some great position. The defense is not set yet because the offense doesn't feel like it's set yet. So it's like, okay, so what do we do? Well, Russ can just kind of play one-on-one for the first, 5, 6, 7 seconds of the shot clock because everybody else is figuring it out. By the time they figure it out, Russ just gets to shoot over one guy and make that easy layup. It's a really advantageous play where you pick the weak link and just go. This is a really bizarre setup for a play because you can see that Steven Adams is up here, but where's his defender? Where did his defender go? Well, his defender is kind of hiding behind Nikola Jokic right now because they're a little bit preoccupied with some post-up stuff that's happening. On top of that, the Nuggets don't seem to respect Russ's ability to hit jump shots. They want him to prove that he can hit jump shots, and this is not actually doesn't do what defenses think it does. Whereas if you just camped in the paint and you just sat people there and waited for people to drive, what's actually going to happen is that person's going to have a decent amount of momentum as they're going into the drive. They're going to be quite difficult to stop without fouling. Part of the whole point of guarding people tight and keeping people contained at the three-point line, even if they're slashers, is to make their journey to the basket quite difficult so they can't get a nice clean takeoff and be able to gather the ball exactly where they want to. The harder you can make it on their transition into the layups, then the harder it is going to be for them to actually make the shot. But if you give them all this extra space, you end up with this. Layups. So you end up with this weird, awkward situation where Victor Oladipo is posting up, and yes, holding Jokic. I will give him that. But Jokic is just way too late to the game. Russ is already gathered at this point. Like, the only thing Jokic can do is get a clean block, which is not really something Jokic is normally capable of, or foul him. And he gives a good contest, but Russ already has that layup on wrap after that point. His job is quite easy by the time he gets that much space to the rim. Jokic just scored the bucket. But after scoring the bucket, he spent a half second waiting, and now he's back here into the play. So he's a little bit behind. There's nothing wrong with him making jump shots or making a layup, but now Singler gets this ball into Russ really fast, which is really a nice heads-up play from the inbounder. Nobody claims Steven Adams, who we're going to see more of in a second. Right now we're just seeing the corner of him in the screen. That's Jokic's guy. But everybody else is focused on their own defenders and their own people. They're off in La La Land doing whatever they want. Russ recognizes, hey, we got an open man, like right off the bat. He takes one dribble, looks up, oh, I got him. Doesn't hesitate, throws the pass to his guy. It's not one dribble, I lied, it's a couple dribbles. But he recognizes nobody's claiming Steven Adams. So I'm going to just throw that ball because if I can get it over the top of Jokic, Adams has a wide open shot. He does, boom, easy. Reward your big men for running, and make sure that you are aware of who's guarding who and all that sort of thing if you're on the defense to avoid situations like this. The way to alleviate a problem like this is you would go, as Jokic, you'd say, hey, get Adams, get Adams, get Adams, right? Somebody cover my guy. And ideally, somebody would cover him, and just so that over-the-top pass couldn't happen. Not necessarily to guard him, but just so the over-the-top pass couldn't happen because Jokic is out of position, and it turns into a nice wide-open dunk. He attacks those boards right away. So he plays defense, closes out hard, switches over, gets that rebound. Let's go. His head is immediately up the floor. He is looking at where he's got to go. He's looking at all the players that he's got open right now. He passes that ball up fast. And a lot of times, if you wait an extra dribble or two, the window disappears. And Singler gets that ball, makes a nice play to swipe inside, and gets a layup. If you run the floor and if you have the type of point guard that's like Russell Westbrook, that is looking to get you an easy bucket, he will reward you if you run the floor. And that is exactly what happens. You can see this over here too. Let me point this out. Oladipo's running his butt off too. If it didn't work out and these two players were still guarding Singler, Oladipo's in a great spot for that second pass. There is no easier offense than scoring layups off of one or two dribbles. This guy just wants it. He just wants it really badly. I brought up another play earlier in which the rebounding from the Nuggets was off because Russ had drawn their attention away, and he basically had, given Adams and Cantor a nice ample opportunity to score a putback. Russ here shows what people should be doing, is this. Meeting Jokic at the rim, guarding excellent defense, straight up, beautiful defense, and then turning around and going for that board as soon as he can and fighting for it. You could have said, oh, just play defense, just hold your hands up, and you're good. And that would technically be true. Him playing good defense and not fighting for the rebound is normally the bare minimum that a lot of NBA players do. And that's fine. But this guy just wants it, goes above and beyond, he's fighting for it, and he's right into transition. So we have another screen situation in which Adams' defender is nowhere to be found. We have another situation in which it looks like Oladipo's holding him when I pause it like that. That's not the case. So we have a post-up situation in which Oladipo's posting up. Jokic is on that help side because for some reason the Nuggets don't believe that Murray can handle Oladipo in the post-up, which I have not seen any reason why they believe that. But you know what? Maybe my memory is faulty when it comes to Oladipo and the Oklahoma City Thunder. But meanwhile, where the ball actually is, Russell Westbrook's at the top of the key up against Harris, and there's the screen action that's coming from Steven Adams. Adams gets a solid screen, and now we have a 2-on-1 situation where these two are fooling around doing a lot of nothing, and Russ is wide open. So it's like, okay, if you're not going to guard me, then I'm going to hit a pull-up shot because I've done that all night. And he does it right here. The drop coverage is so low and so delayed that Russ just hits the shot in front of you. Whew. Okay, now you're in trouble. If Russ is hitting threes, you're in trouble. Adams, nice screen right here. Good shoulder-to-hip contact where Russ is rubbing his defender off onto Adams. Really good right there. And now his defender gets clipped in the screen. That drop coverage is shockingly low. Jokic is saying, shoot the three, I dare you. And Russ says, okay, I will. And hits that pull-up three in rhythm, wide open. A pull-up three in rhythm, wide open is one of the easiest ways that you can hit a three. And Russ does it right there. Let's take a look at the Nuggets. Right there. All the Nuggets are looking at Russ, and Singler is just minding his own business, running his butt off to get to the basket over here. Russ recognizes that. He's got 4 people surrounding him. If there's anybody around him, they're probably open. That's what he does. He makes that pass off. Gallinari's reaction is late to Singler because he's so focused on Russ that he can't react. Murray is not in position to properly defend that pass or to get to Singler, and Singler finishes this nice little layup on the other side of the rim. Spectacular basketball right there. Russ gaining all the attention of the defenders and then making the play off to the open man. That is great point guard reads right there. We get some more drop coverage, but this time Jokic is actually respecting Russ's shot a little bit, but it's not quite enough. So, let's back up. We got a screen going to his left. The Nuggets decide to do a straight switch. Harris is now on to Steven Adams, and Adams is going to, slash into the rim, but there's some people there, so it's going to be a tough pass to make. That means that it's Jokic versus Russ. Adams clears out, and a double starts to come in. The issue is that passing it off to Adams is not actually going to lead to a bucket because we have Wilson Chandler sitting in the middle of the paint right now, and Taj Gibson is a bit too far of a pass in order to make that proper. So he's guarding 2 people at once, and Harris is coming over to try and push the ball out of Russ's hands. The issue with Jokic, we'll take a full look at this, is Jokic is hand down, man down. Keeps his hand down, doesn't commit until way too late when Russ already has that shot well off. Man, he is punishing in that pick and roll. He is so good in that pick and roll. Cantor sets that screen. It's not much of a screen, it's kind of touch and go, but Harris does get caught behind. That's really all that matters. A switch is initiated, or it has to be, because Russ attacks that drop coverage defender, Plumlee, as fast as he can. He doesn't hesitate. He doesn't let Plumlee get his wits about him. He just goes right into the guy. And hits that nice hanging layup over Plumlee as that guy's backpedaling. So, let's go backwards a little bit. Let's take a look at this. Could he hit this pull-up shot right about here? Or, a step into the three-point line? Yes, he could. But he does have an attack mentality about him where he realizes, hey, this guy's on the back foot. I'm going to go at him again, and I'm going to keep him honest. Think of it like football, right? In football, sometimes you run the ball to keep him honest. Because if you throw it all the time, the defense is going to get more and more spread out. They're going to have a much harder time getting completed passes. So you run to keep everybody honest. It's the same thing right here. Yes, he could hit that pull-up, but you're still going to drive to keep them honest. You're still going to drive to keep them, on their heels a little bit, wondering what you're going to do next so you're not predictable. This is a good read. Russ realizes, I've got the momentum advantage over this guy right here. He's putting his hands up. He's immediately kind of surrendering, like, oh my gosh, like, I'm just putting my hands up and just trying to play the best defense I can. And Russ is just going straight into it. Boom. Great shot, and it turns out to be an and one. Woo! Russ did one of the key things that I learned about in my AAU years, is that driving the ball compresses the defense. You compress that defense, they start thinking, oh, we're gonna wall up, we're not gonna let anybody drive. And it leaves everybody out on the corners and in the perimeter really open. We get another screen. He's driving, he splits because the two defenders are not able to close off that split. And now, the reason why that's such a good move is because now 2 people are out of the play. 2 people are scrambling to get back into the play instead of 1. Russ drives. Chandler's there to meet him. Okay, cool. Singler's outside here. Singler's got an open look, potentially. Okay. Not open enough. All right, great. Everybody's in scramble mode. Who's guarding who? Where are we going, right? Moutier is in no man's land. Gary Harris is on the other side of the court by comparison to Russ. And Russ, what he does is he passes out. Doesn't work, but he relocates. He doesn't just sit there and wait. He relocates. They find the open man, and the closeout's too late. Russ hits the 3. Look at the score real quick. The Nuggets are on the brink of potentially pulling away. And Russ has realized this. The Thunder haven't scored in a little bit here. They need a bucket. So Russ, the person who's claiming him is not actually his own defender. It's Gallinari. And Gallinari is staying back because Gallinari doesn't want to get blown by on a drive, which is what Russ is most comfortable doing. But he just pulls up and hits this 3. Hand down, man down, 3. A pull-up 3 is one of the best shots to have in a point guard's arsenal, where in a transition, if everybody's compressed and they're not honoring your ability to shoot, if you can do that, it's easy buckets. You can hit 1 or 2 of those a game, that's 6 points you just have now. And it's easy stuff to do. I'm not saying you do that on every transition opportunity, but it is a good point guard shot where you're bringing it up the floor, and if they're not going to be honest with you, they're not going to treat your shot like a threat, that's how you do it. That's how you fix that really quick. I want to take a moment just to watch that because I think it's incredibly awesome, really. We will probably not see the likes of a player like a Russell Westbrook for quite some time. I know that that's easy to say. I know that, everybody says that about players of their generation, but I genuinely feel that way about how incredible Russ was in this particular season and just as a player in general, as he has been. This particular play, let's actually break down the play where he got his 42nd triple-double of the season, broke the record from Oscar Robertson, went on a couple years later to break Oscar Robertson's all-time triple-double record. So he is the triple-double king, officially. Like, Russ is that guy. But let's take a look at this real quick. I love this moment. I think it's really cool. But there's a simple read here that I think is important. So Russ has that crossover. Okay, so this is one of the big reasons why you don't play help defense when your player is in the corner, is because it is one of the easiest shots to make in basketball. Corner 3 is one of the shortest three-point shots. It is the shortest three-point shot, so therefore it is the easiest three-point shot, even though it doesn't feel like it all the time. If you help on the corner, the pass out is so easy. It's such a fun, easy kick out that it turns into buckets more often than not, especially at the NBA level. Chandler is guarding this guy out here. I can't identify who this is. I'm sorry. Chandler's guarding him right here, okay? Because he has to step up because Russ is driving. He's blown by Gary Harris, and Harris is in a bit of a tight spot. Russ makes the easy call. There's a wide open guy out here. That's why you can't help when you're in the corner, is because there's nobody to help the helper. There's nobody around that can actually help Wilson Chandler, and so it ends up with a wide open bucket and easy 3. We get a screen and a little bit of a snake here. Once again, severe drop coverage. Jokic is not really in the play, so Russ has an ability where he can split the screen right here, and he can attack in that same direction. He can go with a strong head right at Jokic, and by, kind of hitting that, going through that screen and snaking through, if Harris were to be closer behind, Russ would put him on his backside instead of giving an opportunity to catch up. You can catch him up and you can cut him off right in front if you make a move like that. In this case, it's not necessary. Russ drives right at Jokic. Jokic is not able to keep up with Russ, so Russ is able to get a nice advantage where now Jokic is behind Russ, and he finishes. We'll see that entire play real quick. Snakes through. Jokic is behind Russ because he just moves so fast. Hits that layup. Easy stuff. We got another mini illegal screen by Steven Adams. Fun stuff here. We got Russ head full head of steam and Oladipo head full head of steam. And all I gotta do is just slow down a little bit. And Murray is no longer able to really guard Russ because Adams just suddenly decelerates. It happens. So now Russ is given a one-on-one scenario. And he hits him with that beautiful Euro step and finish. Great play by Russ, but it was set up really well by Adams with a unnoticed illegal move. So, with some free throws and some advantageous plays for the Thunder, they're now only down by 2. And they have an opportunity to make a desperation heave at the end of the play right here. Think you can guess who the ball's going to go to? Let's take a look at it. I'm not going to be hyperbolic here. This is probably the most impactful and most probably just entertaining and awesome game of Russell Westbrook's career. And yeah, we'll take a look at the desperation heave. There's not a ton to this play. I think it's quite simple. Russ is unable to get open, so the ball goes to Adams just to prevent an inbounds violation. Adams is looking to get that ball to Russ at any and all costs because he's above the three-point line right now. Like, he's not shooting that shot. And with 2.9 seconds, plenty of time, ideally if Russ got the ball, he could take a couple dribbles if he wanted to, but it's used right here. Russ gets the ball, and he just shoots it. Makes that shot. It's just a perfect ending to this shot, to this play, to this game. I wanted to cover this game because I find that Russell Westbrook gets thrown under the bus a lot about, what kind of player that he has been on other teams in more recent past. And I think that social media is particularly unkind to a lot of players of this day and age in ways that it couldn't have been for other players. But for Russ, man, it's been rough because there's been endless lowlights and endless, rough stuff that's been thrown around with him. And he's not a player without flaws. He's not a player that is somebody who, is just completely misunderstood. He has, deserved some of the criticism that he's been given. But man, when you hit those peaks that he has been able to hit, there has to be something to learn from it. And that's the goal of this video today, is to appreciate and to learn the kind of stuff that Russ brought to the table as a basketball player, as an MVP, as a scoring title winner, as, a triple-double all-time leader, as that guy for a time period, for a blip in time, taking a look at that and really breaking it down. So, that's all I have for you guys today. I really hope you enjoyed this. I'm kind of pining for some more NBA content because, well, there hasn't been much lately. It's been pretty dry this offseason, so the whole deal is just, I want to go backwards a little bit and take a look at some stuff that might be helpful to you guys, because NBA season's right around the corner, and we got a lot of great stuff coming. So, anyway, let me know what other games you want me to cover or what other players you want me to cover. I'll take a look at that in the comments. I appreciate all of you guys for making it this long. If you have, I ask that you please subscribe. But if not, again, I appreciate y'all. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you guys next week.